So how's your quarantine week been?
Life's good. Like I'm very, very lucky. A lot of people are dealing with way worse than I am. I'm just like, I fucking sat around my pool with my computer working while my kids swam this afternoon, right? Like, hey,
Yeah, you lead a sweet life.
Yeah, like, what am I gonna say? Like, I'm really lucky. What's going on with you?
Oh, just living the dream. Just
Different one than me?
yeah, my dream has a lot more scary elements in it.
Yeah. Well, hey,
no,
man,
this week's not been bad.
You're a horror movie guy. I'm
I am.
rom-com comedy guy.
That's true. Although I do love me a good rom-com.
Do you?
Like Love Actually.
Love. I've heard. Amber loves it. I don't know if I've seen that one all the way through.
How have you not seen that one? That's
I need to like.
rom-com.
Yeah, we should make like a next week. I'll bring you a top 5 rom-com list, like my favorite.
I would love to see this list.
I'm gonna have to. Yeah, I'll have to look through it. Pretty Woman's on there for sure.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Julia Roberts is a rocket. Maybe it's my ginger.
Yeah, maybe it's a bias coming through. Julia Roberts is a pretty lady. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying she's a cow or anything, but she's
Tinkerbell.
In Hook. Yes, that's right. That's right. If you're into Little Women, don't watch Little Women. Watch Hook.
Oh, this is getting cut out.
It is. Thank God I'm in control of that.
Yeah. What like Love Actually though? I don't know. I haven't seen a good. Is rom-com still like a genre? Like, is it still out there? Are they pumping those out?
Absolutely. Why do you think Anna Kendrick has a career? Like,
because of Pitch Perfect's not a rom-com, is it?
No, really. but there's What to Expect When You're Expecting. She was in that.
Yeah.
And put me on the spot. I have no idea what the new rom-coms are.
That's what I'm saying. I think like the Women's Network took them all. And like Hallmark movies, they just put them all straight to TV now. Like they don't.
That's a good point. Yeah, the Hallmark especially does like a
Marvel's
movie
in the theater.
There's got to be like we're probably not thinking of something that was like the rom-com that everyone saw.
We have like kids and stuff, so we don't get to go to the movies anymore.
That's true. The last time I went to the movies was quite a. Oh no, that's not true. I saw who's it? Star Wars, the latest Star Wars.
Good old who's it?
Yeah.
Frozen 2.
You saw Frozen 2 in theaters? I saw it in a hospital. So it was. My kid was born. Like we were watching it because my kid was born. It was a nice moment. It wasn't like a bad hospital visit. It was one of those like, "Hey, we're in the hospital."
Oh yeah, because it was out on Disney. Like, do the hospitals have Disney Plus now?
No, but we have an iPad.
Oh yeah, there's the internet. Right?
Yeah,
yeah. That's how the internet works. That's fair.
They didn't give us a home theater set with like 5.1 surround and fucking rocked our socks off. We watched it on an iPad.
Rock'em sock'em, did you just say?
No, but I wish I did now.
Sorry. I was typing with Lauren, actually.
Who's Lauren?
Pardon?
Who's Lauren?
Is that like a setup, or do you actually not know?
That's a setup. I know.
Okay.
That wouldn't be Lauren Williams, would it?
Our guest today is Lauren Williams, or as many people will know her, Angelina Love, professional wrestler, actress. Could have just segued off that because I don't think she's done rom-com. She does more like sci-fi horror stuff.
Does she really?
Yeah. She's in a few different flicks. She just reposted some stuff on her Facebook and Instagram today I think it was like a year ago. But she's going to be on the show in a little bit, or the podcast in a little bit. The show. I'm just so used to radio and TV. She's going to be on the podcast. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's because she's got like an insane amount of stuff to talk about.
She's lived it. I've just been perusing her Wikipedia and stuff. She's definitely done a lot of cool things.
Right? Like
even outside the wrestling, she's done a lot of cool things.
Yeah, and I think that was like the point of our podcast, right? Was like, we're the runners up. We're guys that like, okay, like we do some stuff, but we're never the best at it. And then we get like these super cool people that have like championship belts for wrestling.
Yeah.
And like
Several.
yeah, and like do these cool things, right? So she just fit. She was one of the first people I think I said we should do, because
Yes.
I gotta stop saying that. Sab made fun of me for that, dude. Saying we should have on the podcast. I keep saying do.
Well.
Like we're gonna do her. Like
Oh, that's right. He did make fun of you for that.
yeah,
right.
like hard. But you know what I mean? So like yeah, it's just gonna be neat to have someone with like such a unique viewpoint and lens, and like we went to grade school together, so that's cool too. You just call you Lauren? What do I call you?
Sure. Yeah.
Because you've got like a whole thing. So we're here with Lauren Williams.
Yeah.
4 names? 4.
Lauren.
Did you just
Lauren, Angel, Angelina, and Mama.
Mama? I didn't even know that one.
Well, I have a child, so.
Oh, I thought you meant like it. Fair enough. Yes. Sure. So thanks for taking the time and talking with us. Lauren and I know each other from grade school. We've got a lot of like mutual friends. I didn't leave the country for like a career behind cameras and stuff like you did. But so like, just tell me, like, how's it going? You've been in multiple movies, multiple, I don't know, multiple careers, but with multiple promotions, I guess they call it in wrestling. Like you've been everywhere.
Yeah. I just feel like I knew when I was done college, maybe around like 18, 19 years old, I just knew like I just didn't want to stay there. And I love Canada, but I think just because like what I wanted to do, especially with wrestling, I just felt like I couldn't do it staying there. Like I couldn't go and make a career of it. You know, a bunch of us indie wrestlers, like Toronto indie wrestlers, always just everybody hops in a car because you get booked in Buffalo or you get booked in Detroit, you know, so everybody's like crossing the border, and we were getting popped all the time. And it was getting to the point where I was getting booked like every weekend in the States. And it was just very stressful to think like, oh geez, am I going to get like stopped at the border and turned around? But, you know, we're wearing like our wrestling gear under our clothes and all that kind of stuff. Like it was getting to be very stressful. And I remember I was working at a gym and I was just like, I just need to get down there and just stay down there.
Yeah.
And so he's probably going to make a few appearances. This is Trooper.
Trooper? Tag team partner?
Yep.
So like you probably, I mean, I don't know if you want to say this out loud, but like you probably didn't even have work visas back then, right? Whenever you're going across, it's all like cash, right?
Yeah, I didn't get a work visa until I got with WWE.
Yeah. That's crazy. I like I don't know if you know, from Orangeville, a buddy of mine, I did a bunch of stuff locally here, sports related stuff. Matt Young.
Matt, yeah, he was a referee on the Indies.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, because I talk to Matt, well, I talk to Matt every day, but he talks about like getting drilled with chairs, and like he was a referee, and he's our age, and he still talks about how it hurts. How are you still doing this?
That's a good question. I don't know, to be honest. I don't know life without some kind of daily ache or pain. So I think for me, it's just become a part of life, if that makes any sense. And now, because we're not doing shows, wrestlers are weird. Like, as much as you knock your body out of place, you also kind of knock it back into place. So sometimes if you like haven't wrestled for a while, like you get cold, you know what I mean? And it's like things starts to stiffen up and like things start to hurt a little bit more. And then if you go do a match afterwards, you're like, oh man, I feel a lot better. Like, so I do like my neck is kind of a mess. So like I see a chiro, I have to do like regular work on my neck just so it doesn't like progressively get worse as I get older. But I mean, I'm 38 and I started doing this like when I was 18, and I'm a small woman. So it's I've definitely put a few years of damage on myself.
I was reading some of the injuries. Like you've torn your ACL, you've torn your biceps. Like,
I tore my ulnar collateral ligament in my right arm, and I popped it in my left arm too. And that is like, so it is so painful, like having a close to your elbow kind of injury.
So what do you do? How did you deal with it? Sorry, Mitch.
Like I said, wrestlers are weird. You just deal with it. Like a lot of times, like there's so much adrenaline in a match. When I tore my ACL, I did that when I was in WWE and I was training in Deep South in Atlanta. And I was doing a drill with Michelle McCool actually, and it was just because we were just drill. So it was called up and over swing and a miss. So you do it with a partner, and you would, whip the person across, and they would do an up and over, and you just do that 5 times. And then once you land the 5th one, you turn the person around, do a swing and a miss, and then all of a sudden, then you just switch roles, and then you do it 5 more times with the other person. And I remember I was doing up and overs, and I was landing my 4th one, and I landed it perfectly. But I remember just landing, and it was like my knee just exploded. Like it was almost like a gunshot is what I heard in my head, because it just like rang throughout my whole body. And like I've never had anything like that happen before. Everything before that was just like sprains, bumps, bruises, cuts, stuff like that. I had my nostril torn off in 2002, which was lovely. In Welland, I was doing an indie in Welland.
That's on brand too.
On a Sunday night with nobody awake in the city, and they actually had to call a doctor in to get my nostril stitched back on my face. So that was lovely. But
crowd loved it.
No, they didn't actually. Everybody was silent because nobody likes to see a girl bleed. Guys all day long, oh, they love it. Blood everywhere, love it. But girls, it's like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, you don't want to see a girl covered in blood.
Yeah, that's weird though. They know what they're like. They're there for.
Not back in 2002 though. It's different today.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
A long time ago. So, so I was just like, I knew something happened, but I didn't know what, because I'd never experienced something like that before. So I just turned around to run, finish the drill, and I just fell flat on my face. Like my leg was just like jelly. And then like the pain started kicking in. So I had gone to a doctor that we had locally, but it's like McDonough, Georgia, like very small town. And he told me I tore my ACL, and I was like, I don't believe you. So being in WWE, they have Dr. James Andrews, who is like a world-renowned sports surgeon, like the best of the best. So they sent me to Birmingham to see him, and he confirmed the same thing. And I was just devastated because I could have been fired the next week, like because you get paid weekly, and I was gonna be out for 9 to 12 months easy. So I was very scared, but I was kept under contract the whole time. I was back in the ring. I tore my ACL. I was actually supposed to debut at the 2006 Royal Rumble in January, and I tore my ACL 10 days before that. So, and then because I was waiting to get with Dr. Andrews to see if I really did tear my ACL, I didn't have surgery until March 1st. And then I was back in the ring in September.
Yeah. Wait, so from March to September, that's it? 6 months?
Mm-hmm. I was scared. I was worried that I was going to get released. I know I came back too quickly, but like I was rehabbing 4 hours a day, 4 to 5 days a week. Like I turned into like a fucking machine. And I looked like a hardcore fitness model. And that, they wouldn't clear you if they didn't think you were okay. And I had like one of those giant the big Don Joy ACL braces and all that kind of stuff. So I looked like I had a giant robotic leg. But I wasn't back doing matches right away, but just getting in the ring and maybe managing and just doing a small something. And then I kind of just built up to it. So I've had very bizarre injuries. Like the first time I won the Knockouts Championship should have been like the biggest moment of my career. I was completely unconscious on my feet live on pay-per-view, like out, major concussion, just toast. Tore my ulnar collateral ligament. I almost smashed my foot like to pieces doing a backstage brawl on TNA. They started off the show with like, well, the knockouts are going crazy. And they just like opened the show with all of us just fighting everywhere. And we had these giant like fake lockers in the back, but they were like steel. So extremely heavy, like 10 feet tall. Cause they would always be like the background for like when guys would do promos and stuff. And I got like whipped into them. So I kind of like fell, but then the whole set of lockers just went, and it landed on my right foot. And I swear to you, to this day, the only thing that saved my foot from being completely crushed into pieces was I had on these Ed Hardy boots. Ed Hardy was like all the thing in like 2009. And the sole on those Ed Hardy boots is like concrete, hard as a rock. And I think that is what actually, just the sole of the boot is actually what protected my foot and kept the lockers from actually like completely crushing my foot. But I still like damaged my foot and had to be in a boot for a few weeks and all that kind of stuff. So I've torn and broken and scraped and bruised and everything. I mean, that happens though.
That's crazy.
So I mean, obviously I'm not in that world, but it's pretty fairly well known. I don't know if the independents are worse or better or whatever, but like there's some, and in all sports really, but there's some drug and alcohol abuse because of all those aches, pains, scratches. How do you how do you manage that?
Those things never like helped me ever. Like Percocets or Vicodin or stuff like that. I think one time I took half a Percocet and I was barfing all night. Like it was
Yeah.
And I didn't even really felt like any of those things actually helped with pain. Like I just felt that it would just make me super drowsy and out of it, and then I would just fall asleep. But even when I was like super drowsy and out of it, I was still feeling a lot of pain. So for me, like, you know, an extra strength Tylenol or like a Tylenol with codeine, like something, or Aleve, like that would actually be more beneficial pain wise than something like a prescription drug painkiller or something like that.
And then like, but I don't know, like to me, I just find it, I don't even know how to say this. Like your entire world is like fitness, being in shape, being ready for the next match, being ready. Like do you get to like, do you drink at all? Do you like party out? Like you have to like, we're almost 40. Most 40-year-olds don't look like you. You can't like go crush a thing of nachos on a Wednesday like I do.
Oh, I can.
Really?
My body is it's very
You were always smaller when we were kids. You were never like, you were always slight.
I would say I was at my biggest in life when I was maybe like 20, 21 years old. And I would just say I was just a lot thicker than I am right now. I'm so glad you can't see my cat. He's licking his butt right now. This is like just right in front of me. But like for some reason, like, you know how when people get older, it's like metabolism slows down and you can't, you know, eat the way you used to like you were 20. I go backwards in a weird way. Like after I hit like 30, it's like my metabolism went like I have jet fuel metabolism. Like everything I eat immediately turns to dust. So, so for me, it's just like, I think too, I've been working out since I was like 17. So I think my body, I just have muscle memory. Like my body just knows. Just like with wrestling, like how do I keep going after like 18 years? I have no idea. Like my body, it just does. That's all it knows, I guess. So, cause I played sports as a kid too. Like I've always done something athletic my whole life. But now I think I eat very healthy for health purposes and wanting longevity in life, but I could crush nachos every night and it would not show up on me, and I'm not bragging. That's just like how my body is.
Everybody hates you. We all hate you so much. So much. I have to run like 8K just because I had 2 beer.
Yeah, not me. That's to be you.
So, Mitch, we can all talk to this. So one of the things for Mitch and I anyways, because we do stand-up comedy, right, is that like that thrill of being in front of people and getting that like immediate reaction to something. Like for us, it's telling a dick joke or a joke about our kids or, you know, whatever, just telling a joke. For you, it's that like that energy of wrestling or even, you know, in your case, it can be wrestling, but sometimes it's not even the physical match itself. It's the act or whatever you've got going on. So like how big of a rush is that, and how big a role does that play in your like want to wrestle?
I feel I like leave my body sometimes. It's really weird. Like I feel like for my whole life, I've wanted to perform in some way. Like when I was a kid, like I wanted to be everything, you know what I mean? Like everything. But like I really wanted to be a singer and I wanted to be on stage. Like I'm an atrocious singer, but I just love like the performance of it. And
let's hear a song.
No. No. It's bad when I'm singing along to somebody loud. Never mind if I was just to do a cappella right now. But like just something like performing wise. But the weird thing is that, and I don't know if you remember any of this from like the little amount of time we spent together in school, I was terrified to like be standing up in front of people or to speak in front of people. Like remember when we do speeches like with our little cue cards for like, And it's just like, you just pick a topic and you talk about it for 3 to 3.5 minutes. I would have rather died on that day every school year than done speeches. Like, my face would just immediately go red. I would feel like I was choking up a little bit. And like, I hated being in front of people. And I don't know if it was like just some younger introvert insecurity kind of thing, but like, once I got a little more confident in myself and like got to college and like, I was able to, you know, speak in front of the class a little bit more. But when you get into wrestling, like, you don't have a choice but to put all insecurities aside. Like, you do not have a choice. Like, and I remember thinking that, like, even at my first show, I was like, oh my God, like, how am I going to be? I don't even know how to get into the ring. Like, how am I going to be in front of these people? You just have to do it. You just have to do it. And then I was on the indies for about 4.5 years before I got signed to WWE. And then when you go train, like, you're training all the time, you're doing shows. We would have promo days. We're like, and that's why I'm such a good talker in wrestling. Like, when it comes to being on the mic and cutting promos, like, that I could do in my sleep. Like, talking in front of 10,000 people on a microphone with all cameras and eyes on me is like nothing anymore. And just because wrestling just completely broke me out of that. But yeah, it is like, being in front of people, just even if I'm just cutting a promo, it's a total rush. Like, I'm like an oddly calm kind of person. I don't like getting stressed out. I don't like getting worked up. And like, you will never see that on me backstage. Like, a lot of people will be like, how are you so calm right now? And I'm like, I just don't clear it over. I don't like getting, like, a lot of people, like, they got to drink like pre-workout and they got to jump up and down and blah, blah, blah. And I would rather just be like as zen as possible, because I'm going over the match in my head. I want to make sure I remember everything and what I'm supposed to do, because I'm such a perfectionist. And then when I get out there, then it's just like all show. Just once I get through that curtain, I'm sure it's the same for you. Once you're on stage and we're comfortable, and once you get out there, you just, and in wrestling too, you get to be someone else. You know what I mean? Like, you get to be something different. You get to be another name. You get to be a character. You can be whatever you want. So it's pretty cool to be able to like dive into that like performer side, or just kind of like into that other life for a little bit to do it. And it's super fun. I'm used to it now. I've been doing it forever. So
now, with that being said, I'm curious, do you prefer to be a hero on a stage when you're doing the talking to the crowd, or the villain?
Oh, villain.
Really? More fun?
Worst hero. Oh my gosh. For some reason, naturally being a heel is just like, that's just what falls out of me. When I first started, I was always working against a girl named Tracy Brooks, and she was a little bit older than me. She had really dark hair. Like, she was like the woman, and I was just like, and I'm playing together. I was like the blonde girl, like I was young and, you know, whatever. So I was like always the baby face, and she was always the heel. And that was fine for learning purposes. But I think once I like got into TNA and started doing like my gimmick with Velvet and stuff like that, like just being a heel. And I don't know if it's just like that naturally catty, bitchy side that every woman has inside of them. That is just what came out of me so much more naturally. I have a sarcastic like sense of humor and stuff like that too. So I just realized over time that like being like that super happy-go-lucky, like clap for me, just like, that's not me. That's not me. You know what I mean? Like, I can really fake it if I need to. Like, after being in TNA forever, if I was booked on an indie and they were like, well, you're on TV, everyone's going to cheer you. You know, I've got my bad girl for you to go against. I'd be like, okay. I literally just pretend to be Hulk Hogan. It's just this ridiculous. Like, if they've got me in a rest hold, like I Hulk up and I do the, because I have to. And everybody buys it, but it's like, you have to be cheesy to be a baby face. So because I don't feel it, I kind of go over the top with it. And that's just kind of my way of like getting through it. But being like the evil, like, bitch has just always been like the easiest and most believable thing for me. So
they say in comedy, what you have to do is you have to be like an amped up version of yourself. Like, for the jokes to like be authentic, you just have to be yourself, but like a stage person of yours. So that could be like what it's like for you, right? Like, I'm not saying you're like a bitchy person, but like you've just got that like attitude. So you just ramp it up, right? And roll with it.
We did a pay-per-view so I went to college at Durham College in Oshawa, and we did TNA did a pay-per-view there in 2008. And so they had me and Kevin Nash go there a few days early, and we did like a bunch of promotional stuff in Toronto. And I remember when like the Fight Network was just like a radio show. I think it just started as a radio show or something. I went and did that show. And the guy that was interviewing me, like halfway through the interview, he just stopped and he was like, I just want to say this and don't take it the wrong way. He's like, you're way nicer than I thought you would be. He said, I just expected, like, I just expected like who you are on TV to be here. Like I was kind of nervous about the interview and I was like, oh my God, no, like I would have no friends in life if I was actually like that. But
yeah,
that was a compliment because that was just so, the way that I was being, my character was so believable to him that he thought that was actually me. And wrestling fans can like, they're so critical, they're so loving, but they're also very critical too, to where like they can read you like a book. Like if you're a baby face, but you're not feeling a baby face, you know, and you're cutting a promo, they, you know, they can tell like, oh, they're like, that's so forced, or like, you can tell like he's not comfortable, or like, this is not believable. It sounds scripted. Like what comes out of your mouth and how you act, you have to make the fans believe that's you. And if they don't believe it's you, then your character's not going to get over.
You've done wrestling, bunch of different places. How did you get into the TV stuff? Because you got a few. I think it was just today I saw you post some stuff, some old videos or whatever. Like, how did that? Like, was that just a thing that came organically through wrestling, or?
So I did Kenny versus Spenny. Do you remember that show?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, so I did that back in 02, maybe 03. Me and Tracy.
Oh, we need a better research crew. We need
the
clips of this stuff.
Okay, I actually even forgot I did that until I did a morning show here to promote the show. We had a show here, Ring of Honor had a show here at the end of February, and like a few days before that, I did like the local rock radio station morning show, and they pulled up Kenny versus Spenny and started talking about it, and they asked me when I did it, and I was like, I don't remember. So, it was so long ago. It was like 02. It was like they were doing a Who's Stronger thing.
Yeah.
So that was like the first thing we did. That was local, like Toronto thing. And then when I got into doing like the acting with like the Dark Rising, the stuff that I posted on my social media this week, that was 2012. The girl I did it with, her name's Brigitte Kingsley. She's an actress. She's a producer, talent scout. And her husband's like an amazing producer and editor. And they've been doing a lot of like Ontario, like independent acting extra stuff. So actually, Scott Demore, who ran BCW in Windsor, he like runs Impact Wrestling right now. He was always like our best indie, Border City Wrestling. He was going, so Christian did like the first Dark Rising movie. And so Scott is close with Christian. So he was going to the movie premiere and I was there and he asked if I wanted to go. So I went to like the movie premiere in Toronto, and that's how I met Brigitte and her husband, Andrew. And so they thought that it was cool, female wrestler, blah, blah, blah. Brigitte does some stunt stuff. So we just kept in contact. And I feel like it was probably a year, maybe it was a while later. They said that they were coming up with this new series. They wanted to have like a villainous female, you know, and they want you to be able to fight and do stunts and stuff like that. And being a wrestler, that's what we do. So they just had brought me in to do all this Dark Rising stuff. And then it became like a TV series that was on the Super Channel. So we, you know, that's kind of how I got into doing all of that stuff.
Do you want to keep doing it?
Do I want to? Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love acting. I actually, when I was up for Christmas, because I was going to see my family for Christmas, I did there's a movie that's going to be coming out called The Demented. It's kind of pushed because of the whole virus thing right now. But, and I think I was probably found through the whole ACTRA thing.
Yeah.
Doing the same thing. So, I filmed some stuff there. So, and Bret Hart's in the movie, like it's supposed to come out. I think they're still shooting for like Halloween time, because it's like a psychological thriller kind of movie. So, And then I'm already on board, like to do another one, like a zombie apocalypse kind of movie too. So it's kind of the same as wrestling with acting. It's like who you know and who your connections are and who can put a good word for you here so you can go do this with these people and stuff like that. So it's all about connections and who you know. That's how my career started.
Your entire world is comedy, but for big people, like strong people.
Yeah.
Like it's so funny. Like the way you say it, it's like who you know. So this person can get you here. This person can get you there. you just got to work with this person, show them that you're good, and then they can get you something else. And like, so you've just grown this, like snowballed it over 20 years.
Yeah, that's how it started. Like I literally, like my best friend Julie, you know Julie, right?
Yeah. Is she married now?
Yes. Oh yeah. Her and her husband been together since they were teenagers. It's awesome.
Yeah, I don't know her well, but I know who she is.
Yeah. So like she came over to my house when we lived in Acton. And like just took pictures of me in my backyard, like trying to like pretend I knew how to pose at 18 years old. And just
before
like
the internet helped you?
Yeah.
Like the internet has like how to pose now, right? That was before that.
Yeah, we all have like 4 poses. Like once we finish doing those in photo shoots, we're like, I don't know what else to do. Like give me an idea. But so I just like she just took some shots of me and I just like wrote a little bio for myself at like 18 years old. And I was just like, just in college and, loved wrestling forever and would love to I only wanted to be a manager in the beginning. Like I only ever wanted to be a manager, never saw myself actually being a wrestler. But, there was so few girls on the indies when I started. I started in 2000 and the only girls, like there was a couple, there was Gail, Kim and Tracy, but they were doing like whatever Ron Hutchinson ran in Toronto, but they had to like exclusively work for him. So any other indies they couldn't do. So the ones that I was doing, it was just like the only girls on the show were like wrestlers' girlfriends or like strippers, random strippers that would be backstage at shows. So that would just be like thrown
trying
in there.
to become wrestlers' girlfriends.
Right. So of course, like everybody sees me and they're like, who's that? She actually wants to do something in the business? Like, that's weird. We don't see that. So, but then it was like, oh, like so-and-so is doing a show 2 months from now and they actually don't have any girls on the show. Let's bring this girl. She'd be great. And then like, once you go do that show, then it's like, hey, we're running another show next month. If you want to come back and come to that show. And so that's kind of how it just, gets going.
That's crazy to think about. Like just show up one day and do it right. And then
I was 18 and I was just like, nah, like I didn't know, and the wrestling business, like it's a lot. It's a lot. I wouldn't want.
Don't say that. What does that mean?
It's just a lot. Like if my son decides he wants to get into it, like I'll support him, but like in no way would I push him to do it. Just with stuff that I've seen and a lot of the stuff that I've been through, like I wouldn't want my child to do that. And I'm just like mama bear, overprotective mama right now. I'd like want to be with him every step of the way and that wouldn't be possible. So.
But he's little now, right?
Yeah. But I mean, God bless my parents. Like they were just like, spread your wings and fly, child, and like just trusted me. And that was also
true.
That was also 20 years ago. Like I don't even know how my parents like let me go down the street and hang out with my friends when I was 16 until like 10 p.m.
Without cell phones or anything. Like no contact.
Yeah.
Hey, we're the same way. I got 2 little girls. Mitch has kids. Like it's a different thing, man. Like it's a totally different thing. We live in a different world than we lived in then, right? Like it's.
Oh yeah, like we could just ride our bike. Like a bunch of us 17-year-olds could just ride our bikes down to the Zayres parking lot and like smoke weed, and we're still gonna get home at at 11 p.m. and like no cell phones, no nothing. Parents were just like, all right, see you at 11.
Yeah.
I think of that and I'm like, you guys are like rock stars. I don't know how you did that, but
and even like. So this is one of my favorite stories. When I think it was my first year of university, and my buddy Dopper messages me because you guys went on Jenny Jones together.
You couldn't wait. You were like gonna burst if you didn't talk about this.
Yeah. I've been begging Mike for a week to give me a clip, and he gave me like one crappy clip I can't even use. It's garbage.
Really? I have it on like VHS tape somewhere, but that would do no good for getting you a clip.
He has it on VHS too, but he's like, I don't even have a player to like play it in.
Yeah.
So this was the first time I knew you were like into wrestling was then, because I think you called him and Phil to see if either one of them could go.
Probably.
But Dopper went. Yeah. And you guys went on Jenny Jones. Sorry?
That almost didn't happen for me.
What do you mean?
I got turned away at the border.
Oh, really?
In the Toronto airport.
For what?
Because I had been, so it was like, I think it was 2002 that we did Jenny Jones. So at one point.
Yeah, so my second year university? Okay.
Right. So at one point in between like 2000 and 2002, I had tried to cross the border driving with like wrestling buddies, and I had got stopped and had to get turned back. So once that happens one time, you get
You're
like a little
flagged.
red flag on your name at the border. So I remember like that, you know, the producers of the show had booked me this flight to Chicago, and I'm like so excited. And I get to the airport and I'm going through customs, and then I get taken into secondary. And I'm sitting there forever, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna miss my flight. And they would not let me through. And I'm like, I am doing the Jenny Jones show. And like they didn't know, I don't know if they didn't trust in me or what it was, but, and so this was, I think they were filming me in like 2 days beforehand, thank God. Because then I got turned, and then I had to like call my parents, come pick me up. And I was devastated. I'm like, oh my God, I'm not gonna be able to do this. So I actually called Gail Kim, who was my friend at the time we were training together. And she drove me 8 hours to Chicago. Like she was a bartender, like somewhere in Toronto.
A hardcore friend.
Yeah, like when I think, I don't even know if she remembers that. I'll have to like tell her about it. But I just remember like she totally came through for me. And it was another, like, I mean, I could have gotten serious trouble again, like if I tried to cross the border, but like I think we literally tried again the next day. And since she drove and like she kind of just did all the talking, like we got through. So but I mean, I also gave her like a free trip to Chicago, and like, you know, everything was covered. And we got to see where Oprah filmed and all that kind of stuff. So, but I mean, she's the reason like I actually like got to go there. Like it almost didn't happen for me. I'm sure Doppler never had been stopped at the border before, so like he was fine to just like fly right through.
Yeah, he never told me anything about that. He just said he went to Chicago, got picked up in a limo, and like loved it.
I never really like told anybody that story. I don't think I've
He
never
told
like
everybody.
I have now. Yeah.
But that's part of it. I mean, you're mirroring this comedy world. Like Mitch and I don't go to the States often, and we don't do paid shows in the States like ever. But like we know working full-time comedians who it's a real struggle to get across the border and to get work without the visa. And even
That's
if
why
you're getting
for so long. That's why I just came. Like once I was starting to get booked every week in like 2004, I was like, I just need to be down there. Yeah. I can't risk this every week. And it was like making me, so I was like stressed out for the whole week until I like made it across the border. And then I'd be like calm for like the day. And then, you know, you get back into Canada easier, Canadian. But then it would be like a whole nother week of stress up until like my next booking. And I was just like, I can't do this anymore. Like I need to be in the States to be able to do this.
Yeah. And that's like, that has to be, I mean, I don't know. I guess I think to myself, wow, that's like good on you for making that choice, because that's a hard move to make, to put all your eggs in that basket and just go.
Yeah. I was 22. I was living with my parents, working at two gyms.
That's the dream.
You're right. Graduated college, back in home with parents. But I was like working at a juice bar at one gym, and then I was personal training at another gym. I had 2 jobs, and I had like never had any money. It was just brutal, you know, like, and I tell my sister and my parents this, like, I think I said this not long ago, like, there's no way I would have been able to have like stayed living in Canada. There's no way I would have been able to like get my own place and like do it. Like I had to come down here just to like pursue like what I wanted to do.
But because of the industry, right?
Yeah.
Like,
and, like,
just because the industry you want to be in.
My buddy Sin, I don't know if you know Sin, he was an indie wrestler in Toronto, and he was living down in the States with his girlfriend in Alabama, and they had an apartment, and she had a daughter who like I think spent most of her time with the dad. So they just like let me, I mean, I kind of went down there illegally for a few months, but she just like let me live with them. And I just like waitress for a little bit for cash under the table, and up until I had my tryouts with WWE, and then I got signed. Then I went back to Canada and waited like 4 or 5 months, got my visa, and then came back down. When I had my visa, I crossed the border like, you can't stop me. I got everything right here. I'm good to go. Like I was so like excited and proud. And once I got across, I was like, yeah.
But that must have been huge though, then getting the WWE contract, because that probably in itself got you the work visa too.
Yeah.
And yeah. So like all of everything since then, well, not since then, but being able to get that work visa is key, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, and I mean, when you're in the indies and, you know, it's like 2002, 2003, 2000, like it's the attitude era in WWE, like all you want to do is work in WWE, like, because there wasn't a lot of like different wrestling promotions really doing much at that time anyway, so it was like WWE was like the be all end all. Like I fell into a ball when I got hired, and cried, called my family. My mom was at work. She put me on, she was expecting my call. So she like put me on speakerphone, and I was like, I got hired. Then all you just hear is all these screams in the background over the speakerphone. And then I was like, oh, for Christmas, because it was like December 2004. And I didn't know like if I was going to be able to go home and see my family for Christmas. And I really wanted to. But then I probably got hired verbally, like I probably got the phone call a week before Christmas. And I mean, my butt was like 2 days later on the way back up there. So yeah, I was ecstatic. But I mean, I was 23 when I got hired, and you never think about like the rug being pulled out from underneath you, because it is pulled out from everybody at some point. But you just think you're set for life, like you're a WWE diva and you're just set for life and you're so ecstatic. And yeah, that was everything at the time. And then once I got the work visa, I was just like, oh, it was like all that stress of ever having to like cross the border for like 4 years was just like gone.
Now, you kind of touched on it already, but how has the role of women changed in wrestling since you've started? Because women originally on the shows seem to be more of a showpiece rather than actual athleticism.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look at Medusa, you know, she was like wrestling back in like 95. You know, like there was some that WWF was doing, but it was just never something that was showcased. And honestly, I think the Knockouts division, what we started, was kind of like what opened up the whole world for kind of like legitimizing women's wrestling, making it good, making it exciting. Everybody looked different. We all had different characters. And they were giving us like huge chunks on the show. We were getting like the highest rated segments on the show. Even when we had Sting there, Kurt Angle, Christian, AJ Styles, like all the guys, and you know, they were all so supportive too. So like we kind of started it rocking and rolling. I want to say probably like 07 was probably like when things really took off. And now it's like, you know, they let the girls do like ladder matches on pay-per-view, have their own pay-per-view.
What's the exit strategy?
I don't know yet. You have to be done. Like, I don't know if you've noticed, I'm sure you have, like a lot of wrestlers who like retire and like have their last match, everybody comes back at some point. Ric Flair's probably retired 12 times. Like there's so many wrestlers who, like, Edge is retired, but he's come back at the Royal Rumble, and you know, Beth Phoenix retired, she came back at the Royal, like everybody who's retired, Kim retired, but then she came back and had one more match. I don't know that I want to be that person that says I retire, but then 3 years later I come back and like do something all over again. I feel like when I retire, I want to like physically, like I don't ever want to retire from the business. I would love to be an agent backstage, a producer, a trainer, something, because I've been working in TV for over 10 years. Like I have a lot of experience, not only in the sport, but in the TV aspect of it too. And like Jay Lethal has a school in Tampa. When I was still down there, I was helping him train. And I loved that too. I just have a lot of knowledge to share with the upcoming generations. And I love the business too. Like just because I may ever be done physically doesn't mean I ever want to be done with shows or doing anything else. So for me, I don't know yet. I don't feel done, even though I'm kind of like sore all the time. And I know I'll need to be done at some point. You have to know, like you have to know in your heart, this is it. I'm not going to want to come back after this. I'm going to be perfectly fine in my life, never doing this again. And I am not at that point, but you have to be at that point, and you have to be like serious, and you have to be real with yourself about it. Because I don't want to be the person that says I'm retired and then I come back and I start wrestling again. I just don't want to. I don't want to do that. But I don't feel close to being done either. Like my body's still giving her. You know, I'm still good to go. I still love it. There's nothing that I hate. I don't hate traveling. I still love every part of it. So I have no idea when I would be done physically performing, but not in the foreseeable future.
You almost have to be ready to give up that drug you love, right? Like you have to be able to quit cold turkey.
Like I'm 38 and I've been doing it since I was 18. So I've been doing it just a little over half my life at this point. I don't know my life without it. And that's why even like I said, when I'm done physically, but I still would want to be involved in the business somehow, even if I'm not actually wrestling. It'd be a lifer thing for me. It's just always been that way since I was a kid. So
Now, do you see yourself potentially ending your career with Ring of Honor, who you're with now, or do you see yourself going back to TNA as a final spot? Or
no clue. I really couldn't even like guess. I don't see like going back to TN. I don't know. Ugh, who knows? I didn't even know I was going to end up in Ring of Honor. I actually did a couple of shows for Ring of Honor in 04, right before I got signed to WWE. So it's like a total full circle thing, like me being back with Ring of Honor right now. And I never saw that happening, but it did. So I don't know. I don't see TNA happening at this point. The wrestling business is a never say never. I don't know if the comedy, that kind of thing's the same thing. Wrestling is a never say never kind of thing. Like I've always wanted to have my WrestleMania moment. I've managed to come to terms with realizing that's probably not going to happen. But then again, it's wrestling, never say never. So who knows?
You always have to hold on to the dream a little bit, right? Like that's part of the motivation for, well, it is for me anyways, right? Like
if you don't keep certain parts of what you had when you first started, the whole business will swallow you whole. Because it's just like I've posed this question so many times to like a lot of people that I know in the business, just because like I have seen and heard and been through some terrible things during my years in wrestling. Aside from all of the wonderful things, there has been like some just the criticism, and if you like listen to everything the fans say about you, and just a lot of people who you thought were friends like stabbing you in the back just to get one step ahead of you, just all kinds of things can like really like just really ruin your spirit, especially criticism. Some people cannot handle constant criticism. So you have to like you just have to find yourself and find a way to just always have these things coming at you and just being like, like a good baseball player, just lobbing it back out there. But you have to stay a fan. You have to stay passionate about it. And if for any reason any of those things just leave you, then you're done. Why would you even want to do something anymore that you're not in love with?
I love that. That's wicked. Like that fits for like not just wrestling, not just comedy. That's like everything. What's the thing you love? Like I remember when I was younger, I was like 24 and I was managing a curling club because curling was the sport I was good at. It was the thing I loved.
So Canadian of you.
I know, right? But I didn't love it anymore. I was like, oh, it became like a job where I'm like grinding and like 9 to 5. And I'm like,
that's no way to live life, period.
Well, I don't mind. Like what I've done is I've got a 9 to 5 that pays very well. I'm very happy. And then I find my things elsewhere.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
and
because when I tried to do it with curling, it destroyed my thing I loved.
Yeah. And for me, I've never been a 9 to 5 person. That has just never worked for me. Like when I was 19 years old, still doing, like I was doing indies at the time, but I was working in Oakville there was a chain of gyms. I can't remember what they were called, but they're everywhere. Like Cambridge.
Good Life?
Good Life? No, it wasn't Good Life. It was something else. It was something. Shoot, I don't remember. But I was like a data entry person, and I just worked at like their office in Oakville, and I was always just entering, like people would always fill out ballots to win things, and anytime so I just all day long I was just sitting in front of a computer doing data entry, like looking at my calendar, like when's my next show, you know what I mean? And like once I came down to the States when I was 22, and then once I got to WWE, my life has never been like I get up and, we get up at 7 a.m. and get the kids ready to go to school, and I go do my 9 to 5, and then we come home and then just get that has just never been my life. And I couldn't, I'm 38, but like at 40, I could never see myself like, okay, I just guess I got to go get that office job and do that 9 to 5. I've just never worked like a normal job ever. So I don't know that life. I know travel. I know going here and going there. I've I remember like talking to, I think it was Julie. And this was probably back in, let's just say 2010. And you know, I on Facebook, I'm just seeing everybody I went to school with, everyone's married, has kids, or are having kids or something. And I
Still
remember,
lives in the small town we grew up in.
yeah. And I remember thinking like, I totally like, I thought I was going to have like a midlife crisis when I turned 30, because, you know, you're done with your 20s, like, oh my God, you're 30, right? And I've fully prepared myself for like a full-blown meltdown on my 30th birthday. And I remember we were actually like filming at TNA. So I was actually able to do a show on my 30th birthday. Like we all went out after. And I remember Karen Jarrett, she's like 10 years older than me. I remember her telling me like, girl, listen, like you are so much better in your 30s than you are in your 20s. Like you are so much more woman. You know so much more about what you want in life. Like all this stupid crap you did in your 20s and all the stupid crappy guys you dated, like it gets so much better in your 30s. But I remember feeling like I always like I'm doing what I always wanted to do. But I also remember like there was a little part of me like, am I behind on this like marriage and family thing in life? Like, but you know, like you kind of you see everybody you went to school with married and has kids, or they're married or they're going to have kids or something. And I like wasn't even dating anybody at the time. And I'm always here and there and everywhere. And I remember, I swear I was talking to Julie about this, and because, you know, she had Naya when she was like 23, maybe.
Yeah. Young. Well,
or
young comparative.
Sure. Like, or she got married when she was 23 and Naya came a few years later. I can't remember, but, I remember saying to her, like, maybe like, should I be trying to get married and have kids right now? Like, I've just always been me. Like, I was very selfish with my career because I just love my career so much. I just always wanted to do career first. But then, you know, my sister had my niece and I got baby fever. You know, 98% of women get it. But then I remember Julie was saying like, yeah, but like on the flip side, like, look at all the stuff you've done. Like, look at all the places you've gone. Like, we couldn't do this being here with our 9-to-5s and our kids. We couldn't just pick up and go to India for 10 days. We couldn't just go to Puerto Rico or go to Australia or do whatever. So there's always a flip side to my thing, and that, which was them, but then their flip side to their thing was me. And like so.
Yeah.
But I mean, I got pregnant when I was 33. I had David when I was 34. So
that's not even like late by today's standards. That's
right.
Normal, right? Like the world has changed.
It's all psychological though, like your maternal clock, you know what I mean? So, and I mean, I'm 38 and I would still actually love to get married again and have another child. I would love to give David a sibling, but I'm like, oh, I don't know how that would happen.
We're going to get so many text messages now, Lauren. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Now all my buddies are going to be like, what? No, go away. Leave me alone.
But I don't know. But I mean, like, honestly, like, and not a lot of people know this, but by the time I went on my first date with my ex and got pregnant, it was a 7-month span of time.
Oh, like a whirlwind, like a bachelor type setup.
It was crazy, but I felt very ready for it at that time. Didn't work out. Wasn't supposed to, is what it is. But
you're not the only one. I
would still love to, you know, my son, I just think he would be an amazing older sibling. Yeah. You know, I really want to give that to him at some point. And so when I kind of get in a little despair about like, oh my God, like I'm going to be 39 in 5 months. And, you know, I don't know where this next husband is, but then I think like, don't forget, Lauren, like you were first date, engaged, moved, married, and pregnant in 7 months. So like when I think about that, then I kind of don't worry about it.
Well, it's not just that. You like have done so much. Like Mitch, we were like talking about your Wikipedia page. It's like what? Like my Wikipedia page would be 4 sentences. And you're just like, it took us like 2 days to read it. Yeah. Like those are all things you accomplished during that time.
The thing that blew my mind was at the very end, it says you were on Family Feud.
Oh yeah.
Which I took as like, that should have been first and foremost after like wrestler and several-time title holder, Family Feud.
Here's the weird thing about Wikipedia. My name is incorrect on that. And if I was to go there and try to correct it, it would...
They won't let you.
Yeah. So I don't know how whoever wrote my name on there was able to show that as legitimate, because it's not.
Which
the
one?
The middle name. That's not my middle name. So I don't know how that was. I don't know who ever put that on there.
I think it's gone now. It's not even on there anymore.
What does it say?
Just Lauren Williams.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Maybe
your campaign against Wikipedia worked.
No, you know what? Here's the funny thing. I actually tweeted like a month ago about that being like not really being my middle name. So I wonder if a month ago it's somehow
one of your fans,
somebody fixed it or something like that. Because I don't remember how it came up, but I just remember putting something like, I don't even know like how this was put on my Wikipedia page because that's not my middle name. Like Tommy Dreamer, who like is the reason I have a career. When he booked me for House of Hardcore, they did an Australia show, which was a total bucket list thing for me to go to Australia. We went this summer of 2018, I think. And I don't know why he did this, and I totally called him out on it. When he sent me my ticket, which I trust Tommy, so I didn't ask for it like a month in advance, but when he sent me my plane ticket, it was only like a couple days before, and he put Lauren Ann Williams on it, and I'm like, oh my God, Tommy, that's not my middle name. Like, why did you book that? And he's like, well, I just looked it up on your Wikipedia. And I'm like, Tommy, we text each other all the time. Like, why didn't you just text me and ask me my name? That's not my name. Now what do we do to rebook the ticket? Like, what do I do? So like, when I got to the airport, they had to like call the consulate and tell them like, listen, this is the middle name on our passport. It doesn't match the middle name. And then they had to call United and can we change it? Like, it was a mess. And I was just like,
because of Wikipedia.
Because of Wikipedia. And whoever put it on there, yeah. But it's gone now, so I guess it doesn't matter anymore. So that's fine. My cat is just really trying to get his butt on this.
It's, cat's single and ready to mingle.
He just got his little bits and balls taken off about a month and a half ago. He was having major UTI problems, and what they do, I bet you didn't know this. So, fun fact, I'm going to teach everybody about cats right now. I learned this. So he had we'll get back to Family Feud in a second. He had a near death. Actually, he died. My cat actually died and came back to life in January.
9 lives.
He had like a severe UTI, and I didn't know until it was severe. Because I don't know like what to look for because
they don't talk.
Yeah, exactly, and he'd never had it before. But he's never been one to like have accidents anywhere or like have an attitude and like start peeing on things. Cat pee's the worst. But like I had noticed that he was starting to run his butt like dogs do. He was doing that across the carpet, and I was like, why is Trooper acting like a dog? That's so weird. And then one night I was playing with my son on my bed, and there was this gigantic wet spot. And if cat pee gets on a mattress or like you're done, you just throw your bed out, it's done. And I was like, what Trooper? And I got mad at him. I was like, why would you do that? Like, and then just within the next 2 days, I noticed him just hovering everywhere. And I'm like, why does he look like he's just trying to pee on everything? He's never done this before.
Yeah.
And then one night he just like threw up. He just ate and threw up all over the place. And I was like, he is just being really weird. Like, I don't know what's going on.
Wrong.
I think I'm just going to take him to like, there's literally an animal hospital right around the corner. Like, I'm just going to take him there tomorrow morning. And so the next morning, because this was like 2 a.m. that I noticed that he was really bad. So come the next morning, he was just like laying in the tub and he would not move. And I'm like, Trooper, come on, buddy, we gotta get out. And he just wouldn't get, so I had to pick him up. And the minute I touched him, he just started yowling and moaning. And I'm like, oh, Jesus, okay. I had to get David out of bed, had to cook breakfast really quick because we hadn't eaten yet. And then Trooper's in the middle of the car, he just starts barfing, just bile, and he's got nothing. And he's just like dry heaving. And I'm like, oh God, we gotta go. So and we got there, and it's so weird. Like, I did not know this, but like I walked in, they're like, what do you need? Like, what's going on? And I'm like, I have a male cat, possible UTI. And they get on a walkie-talkie and they're like, we got a male cat, possible UTI. And I'm like, oh, and somebody came from the back immediately and like whisked him away. And I was like, you guys have great service here.
So it's like a known bad thing for cats?
So male cats. So when they came, they took him to the back and then they brought him back up. And they said his bladder was like gigantic and very hard. So they had to get him to the back immediately. And then once they got him all set up in the back, the doctor came up and totally schooled me on cats. And he basically said, male cats have very, very tiny urethras, very, very tiny urethras. And female cats are much larger and much wider because they give birth. So it's very easy for a female cat to be able to pee and go to the bathroom normally. But male cats can so easily get blockages, whether it's crystals or whether just build up or something. So if there's any kind of like liver issue or whatever, they can get blocked up and get a UTI, and they can die within 72 hours. Die within 72 hours. So I guarantee you, if I had just kept Trooper for that day and just been like, well, I'll just watch him for the day and see how, he would have died that night. Like, he would have died that night.
From pee.
So, but the thing is that it just poisons your body. When you can't release toxins, those toxins just build up in you. So learning about like your kidney numbers and your BUN and your creatinine and all these kinds of different levels, your potassium and all that kind of stuff. So like his BUN, like for a normal cat, their BUN is supposed to be between like, and that's blood urea nitrogen. So normal.
You're speaking Chinese to me right now.
I know. I learned a lot in like 2 hours. Trust me. So your blood urea nitrogen is supposed to be, for a cat, is supposed to be between 15 and 34. He was over 140.
So that sounds like it's more than it should be.
The machine only goes up to 140, and it just said like they couldn't. It just stopped reading off the meter completely. His like normal potassium is supposed to be between like 2 and 4. He was at a 7.7. Creatinine is supposed to be between 1 and 2. He was at a 12. Like all of his numbers.
Yeah, your whole body, the whole cat body just has gone to, it's like mangled, right?
Through the roof. So they had to put him under anesthesia and do an emergency catheter operation. So, well, not operation, but
sounds awful.
So when he was on the table and he was under anesthesia, he went into complete cardiac arrest and died.
Oh my.
Yeah, because his potassium levels were so high. If your potassium levels are out of control, your heart can stop like that. So he was also under anesthesia.
Wow.
So his heart stopped completely and he died. And they did emergency CPR on him and he came right back. They got the catheter.
How much did this cost you?
Oh, I mean, total. So that was the first time. So I got to try to make a long story short here. So he came back to life. God love him. They got the catheter in him. He started draining. And they basically told me that if a male cat has a problem with this, like if it's chronic and it keeps happening, then what they do is they basically get rid of the cock and balls and they basically turn the male's urethra into a female's. So my cat, so this happened in January.
There's transgender cats.
So I have a cat who is male, who has no male parts anymore because he had to have the surgery. So they don't do the surgery right away. Usually what happens to him and what they do in January, they do the catheter, everything gets better. He should be fine. Put a little more water in his diet, feed him wet food, all that kind of stuff. So he was fine for a good, like, you're on an antibiotic, all the things. His numbers went down significantly lower the next day. And then he was able to come home the following morning. So that was $1,500. And then
the following morning.
No. So he went in one day, he was there for the whole day, died, came back.
Okay.
Then the whole next day he was there. And then the whole, like the morning after, his numbers went back to completely normal. But then I noticed like in April again, like starting to hover. And I started watching him go in the litter box. He was going into the litter box all the time and maybe peeing a spot.
Nothing was happening. Yeah.
And I'm like, it's happening again. So I took him back and he wasn't as bad as the first time, but he was very elevated. So they said at this point, it should not have happened again this quickly that he was getting another UTI. We should probably go ahead and do the surgery. So that was another like $2,100.
Oh.
The surgery, having him there, all the medications he was on.
Yeah.
So in total, but I mean, worth it. And thankfully I'm blessed I can afford it. The whole thing for him with what happened in January and then what happened again in April was probably, let's just say close to 4,000, close to 4,000, everything. Yeah. So I have a cat who is a boy and has no parts there at all. It's just like a little slit.
That's like,
crazy.
I'm learning shit.
Yeah. I did not know that UTIs were so bad for male cats, and I did not know that in order to make it stop in male cats, you pretty much have to turn them into a female cat. But there you go, a little school lesson for tonight.
Yeah, that's.
On cat anatomy.
I've never had a cat, so
but he's doing great. Not a problem since. Just loving life, doing so good. No,
you still call him a he, or is it a she, or a zer?
Well, let's think biology. He was born a boy, so he has the
I'm
wife.
just being a dick.
The bits are gone, but he still has the genes. So I feel bad. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe I had to do that. Like it castrated my male cat, but it kept him alive. You know what I mean? So
yeah, better than dead, right? Mitch, what would you do? Dead or lose it?
Well, he died. He died and came back. So
yeah, I mean, my grandfather goes to the bathroom like that. I would cut his dick and balls off to save him. So
there you go.
To me, for a cat, it's worth it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that has been. Well, actually, no. We got to talk about Family Feud still.
Did we end on something wrestling related and not my cat's balls that don't exist anymore?
Yeah, we need to finish on Family Feud.
So Family Feud was awesome. They just ended up we just got an email when we were all in TNA. I think it was 2010 that we filmed it, and they filmed it at Universal Studios too. So, and we were filming at Universal Studios, so it was just another section of the park that we had to, or the whole studios that we had to go to. I actually didn't. They filmed so much at Universal Studios in Orlando. I didn't even know they were filming that there ever. But we just got an email, and they just picked 5 girls and 5 guys, and they were like, "You want to do Family Feud?" And we were all like, "Yeah,
yeah, of course,
of course." So, and we ended up doing it just a few days later, I think. And I remember they wanted us to wear our wrestling gear, and we just thought that was so cheesy, but we're like, hey, whatever we do. And we filmed 5 shows in one day. And I'll tell you what, as cool as it is you're burnt out by the end of the day. You are just done. You cannot be on anymore. You cannot perform anymore. You can't get any more right answers. Steve Harvey was just magical. His teeth were blindingly white and just perfect. And he's so polite and so funny. And we were just and he just was a normal person that you could just talk to and laugh with. And it was just so cool. And then it was all right, let's go do the show. And they give you the little name tag. I had an Angelina name tag. And so we kicked, the girls kicked ass the first game, and we almost won the 10,000 too. Me and Velvet went down to the little, whatever the last segment is, where you get the questions, you gotta go.
Yeah. What's it called, Mitch?
Fast money.
Fast money. Okay. So I nailed everything in my fast money, but the second person that does it, they can't say your answers. So when Velvet came on, she went down and it all fell apart on the very last answer. So we lost it on the very, very, very last answer of fast money. And then after that, once we did the second game, third game, we sucked the worst. The guys they killed us. But it also got very frustrating because we were saying so many answers that we knew were right and we knew had to be on the board, and it was always nope. And we're it got to the point where we were but how is that not an answer? It has to be who are you polling? Who's coming? And then all the other answers that were coming up. Oh, geez.
There you are.
All the other answers that were coming up were just who thought of this? How is this an answer? So we were actually getting very frustrated. We were hungry. We were tired. We had already been filming for 8 hours. It was just, we were over it. We were so over it by the 5th game. I hope it doesn't come across that way on TV, but we were over it. And I think Steve felt bad for us because we all actually did end up getting a little bit of money. I think they just ended up gifting us a little bit of just thanks for coming on and doing this all day and sucking really bad, but almost winning fast money. But it was just, by the end of the day, we were fuck this show. We're done. We can't just, I don't even want to do it. We're done. We're tired.
Well, it's probably different for you guys though, right? Because a family that's going on there, their trip, it's a thing. It's for you guys, you're okay, this is cool. It's unique, but being in show business is your thing. So that part isn't new or exciting to you.
It was a very, it was cool because it was different. It's Family Feud, right? Yeah. I think what really got us was the frustration. of just like, who are you polling? Who's giving you these dumbass answers? Because we knew we were killing it all the time. And every time we were like, yes. And it was like, and we were like, how?
Because
So
they can change the answers.
after a while, we were just like, this show blows. But like, it was still very cool, like a great experience. I got 5% left on my iPad.
And we're getting a warning too, so we got to go soon anyways.
But I stole my name tag, and I didn't know, like, you're supposed to recycle the name. Like, you give it back at the end of the show. Because
oh, hell no.
There's going to be another Michael. There's going to be another Angelina. There's going to be another Dave. I didn't know that, so I was like, I took it. And then I think like weeks later, they were like, yeah, you guys are supposed to give your name tags back. And I was like, I still have it.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Are you kidding me? It was so cool. I kept the name tag.
I'd keep that too.
Yeah.
All right, Lauren, Angelina.
Don't call me. That's weird. You have to call me.
It is weird. It's Lauren because we're like grade school friends. So you're Lauren.
Well,
thanks.
Congratulations on your podcast and all your comedy stuff. I'm glad we can all keep in touch on social media. I think it's so cool that we're all almost 40 and we all went to school together when we were like 8, and we can like keep in touch in a way. It's very cool.
Yeah. We can send text messages about Mrs. Rose or whichever other teacher we want to make fun of.
Do you know what I always remember about Mrs. Rose? Besides being terrified that she was going to be our teacher, I don't know if were you there?
I was after her. Well, she was still at the school, but yeah.
I always remember that she just, her boobs so big. She would always rest like this. I always remember that she'd be at the front of the class and her hand, this is how she would rest to like teach the class. She would always just rest her hand on her boobs like this. I always remember that.
Mitch, we lived in such a small town that this lady was a grade school teacher, but she was also the mayor of our town. So on Thursday, she wasn't there because she had to go be mayor. And so Mrs. Doyle came.
Mrs. Doyle, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, yep.
Small town. Lauren, awesome. Thank you so much. I'm an old man. It's past my bedtime.